Welcome to Relationship Realities with
Roland
and Reyna. We're going to be giving you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality. Welcome to Relationship Realities with
Roland
and Reyna. We're going to be giving you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality.
Welcome back, listeners.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, and if you're new to the podcast, stick around. You're going to have a lot of fun around here. First, wanted to start out by saying, bear with me a little bit. I am going through a little bit of a cold.
Oh, he's under the weather, guys.
A little bit under the weather, but still have to stay dedicated.
Absolutely. So hopefully there won't be too much sniveling or coughing.
Yes, I hope
through the
not.
episode.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about the results of our podcast launch, which was really good, by the way.
Absolutely, yes.
Then we're going to move into compromise and give some examples along with some advice to better your compromising decisions.
Right.
And then we'll conclude with our thoughts on compromise in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for the podcast launch, it was really good.
It was awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support. We couldn't have done it without you. So
Yeah,
we
definitely not.
appreciate you guys so much.
So much. Yeah, we ended up with some like 70 downloads, which is awesome for
Right.
a first startup. I mean, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your support and whatnot. I mean, it was a lot of fun. A lot of hard work went into doing it, but it definitely paid off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. And also, we got approved on iTunes.
Big news. Yes.
Yeah, we got approved on iTunes. So that was really good. If you just go to iTunes and you search Relationship Realities, it should pop up.
Right.
If not, in Podbean, we'll have the
link.
the hyperlink for the iTunes link, so that
Yes.
we'll leave that in there too. So, thank you all again for your support. I mean, we
Yes.
couldn't have done any of this without your support. So,
Right.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. So on our previous episode, we discussed communication. And by the way, we have our poll up on Facebook.
Yes.
If you have not had a chance to either listen to the previous episode or you have not gone and cast your vote in our survey on Facebook, please be sure to do that. We've had some pretty good feedback on that, some good comments as well. The results so far are pretty skewed in one direction.
Yes, they are. Yes, they're skewed in my direction, by the way.
We aren't taking sides, Roland, anyways. But we definitely want to hear your feedback again. You know, like we've always said, we love your feedback. So that poll is still up. We will be closing that poll down on Saturday evening, and we will discuss the final results on our next podcast.
Yes.
But our previous podcast was about communication, you know, obviously, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what this podcast is about, which is compromise.
Compromise, yes.
Yeah. So compromise is doing something that you may not really want to do, but you do it for the sake of your partner,
Right.
to either make them happy or to kind of keep the peace. And, you know, it's vital. It is absolutely vital in any relationship to be able to compromise. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. I think a lot of us make the mistake when we think of compromise that it's this huge life-changing thing that you have to compromise. And it's not. It doesn't have to be, you know?
No.
For example, I enjoy dancing. And, you know, a great example is recently Roland and I went to an event. I was teaching down in Suffolk in Virginia. And Roland came with me. And he's not a dancer.
I'm not a dancer at all.
But he compromised with me, and he knew that it would mean a lot to me to be there with me and to support me. So he came out and supported me, and that was great.
And I'm glad I did, because I had a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun.
And it meant the world to me. So, you know, and I knew that he's not a dancer. So obviously I compromised, and we did not stay at the event all night long because he would
Right.
not have had fun just sitting there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also compromised a little bit with my sweetheart over here. You know, I like my rock and roll music. I like my R&B, and she likes her salsa. And whenever we go on long trips, because we go on trips a lot,
Right.
you know, not recently, we haven't been on super long trips recently, but we definitely have within the past few months. But whenever we're on the road, of course I have to compromise a bit because she can't do without her salsa.
Yes, definitely. I think that's kind of the unspoken rule when you go on road trips. The person, you have the driver and then you have the passenger, and usually the passenger is responsible as the DJ to make sure that the music.
No, wrong. The driver is in control.
Oh my goodness.
Total control.
So anyways, I I have a pretty eclectic ear for music.
She really does.
So I'll put my music on shuffle, and since I do have quite a selection of music, there is a lot of, very regional type music. There is, for my Latinos out there, there's salsa. I have salsa and bachata and banda and cumbias and things like that. And Roland has absolutely no idea what it is that they're saying.
No,
but
not at all.
He doesn't mind bopping his head along with it.
Yeah, I go along with it. And believe it or not, I've kind of grown fond of it a little bit.
No.
It's actually not that bad. But
it's not bad at all. What do you mean it's not that bad?
It's not bad at all. It isn't. It's
I'm
really
just giving him a hard time. This is my Virginia boy that's never listened to any of that type of music before, so I definitely appreciate that.
Right. But, we've given a couple examples of, like, smaller things.
Right.
But it's also, I'm not saying ginormous compromise, but in our relationship, at least for me, there have been things that we've done together that I necessarily didn't want to do, but just to be there with her.
Right.
Right. So, for example, there have been a couple times where we've gone places, like historical places that I wasn't interested in at all. But
you ended up having a good time anyway.
I did. I ended up having a good time. But in the beginning stages of that decision,
right,
I didn't want to do it.
Right.
But I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it. She wants me to come. I'm definitely going to go ahead and go then.
Right.
And then 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I'm really glad I ended up making that decision, to compromise, because it ended up being memorable.
Right.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
that's what it's all about.
And I think that the important thing to remember too when you're making these decisions is, Roland gave some good examples about how he compromised for me, but it's also, my responsibility to ensure that I recognize that compromise and not take advantage of it. Right. You can't expect your partner to always be the one to compromise. You have to also give as well. There are a lot of things that, Roland enjoys gaming, or he enjoys, doing video editing, and, I compromise and don't expect 100% of his attention while he's doing that, because I know he enjoys doing that. So, it's a give and take. And that's really what you have to remember in a relationship is, if your partner enjoys doing something, give them that freedom to do that, and don't expect, for them to put all of that aside just on your whim. And, it can be very life-changing type things as well.
It can be.
But I think that we forget about the little things.
It's the small things.
Right, because those are the things that add up after a while. And unfortunately, one of the cons is that if you continuously compromise for your partner, it is important for them to not expect you to compromise, and vice versa. Don't expect your partner to compromise 24/7, because then it's not a compromise anymore. Then it just becomes, basically
they're expecting you to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is not a healthy relationship at all whatsoever.
Yeah, being having you do something or they do something that they expect you to do, that turns into almost like they're depending on you to do it with them. It's controlling. Exactly.
Right. And one of the biggest things, one of my biggest relationship, I guess, sayings is that I don't want you to make a decision, especially if it's a big decision for career or future type things. I don't want you to make that decision completely based solely on me, because I want you to be happy with that decision because I don't want you to resent me for it later.
Right. Because you're ultimately the one that has to live with it.
Exactly. Exactly. Because, in a perfect world, we want to be with the person that we're with, for the rest of our lives. That's who we want to be with. And unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. And sometimes things happen. And, I have many friends that made decisions based solely on their partner's happiness and not on theirs as well. And they ended up regretting it and resenting it later on down the line. And that's definitely not the way to live your life.
So to conclude, I guess you would say that, compromise is needed.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to have compromise in your relationship, or it will be it will be generally one-sided.
Right.
If there isn't.
Not everybody has the exact same feelings about everything 100% of the time. There are things that you and I don't agree on, and we compromise one way or the other because we are not the same exact person.
Exactly.
No two people are the same exact person.
Exactly. Even if you're totally compatible with each other, you generally are not the same person
right,
at all.
Exactly.
And if you were the exact same person, that'd be pretty friggin' boring because the other person's in the and weird. Yeah, the other person, their differences is what makes the relationship kind of interesting.
Right, and makes you grow as a couple.
Exactly. So obviously, like I said, it's needed, but don't let it determine what your relationship is or what it will become.
Right, absolutely. You like I said earlier, you have to make sure that you are aware when your partner is compromising, and as well, you have to give that compromise as well. And it's not something that it's not an expectation. You shouldn't expect your partner to compromise all the time. And with that, you need to be able to communicate with your partner. If you are not happy, if your partner is asking you to compromise or expecting you to compromise, and you are not happy about it, you should be able to have a conversation about it. And sometimes, you may not be happy compromising, but in the bigger picture, in the mad scheme of things, sometimes it's necessary. But
definitely.
You should still be able to have that conversation, and your partner should still be able to listen and understand your feelings on the subject.
Oh, yeah. Did y'all see what happened right there? You see how the third episode rolled right into the fourth episode? Communication.
Ding, ding, ding.
And communication and compromise and how all this works together. See how that worked?
Exactly. So as a reminder, the poll from our third episode is still up on our Facebook. So be sure, if you have not listened to the last episode, please be sure to go back and do that. And, the same if you haven't listened to any of the other episodes.
Right.
You definitely want to do that, especially
definitely
the internet dating one. That was pretty funny. But
that was.
The poll is up on our Facebook page. And be sure to go and vote there because we would love to hear your feedback on that. And we'll be discussing the poll results on our next episode.
And what's our next episode?
This one is going to cause some controversy.
It definitely will.
The next episode is going to be dating in the workplace.
Uh-oh.
So that's going to be an interesting one because
yes, it will.
We are going to be discussing some mostly cons to that.
Yes, mostly.
Mostly
there are very, 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 very few pros to that.
But we're going to be giving you some real world scenarios that Roland and I have witnessed firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
And so that one will definitely be an interesting episode.
Oh, yeah. Also, you can stop by our YouTube channel. But to get to our YouTube channel, you can go to rrwithrr.com. Mm-hmm. And up there in the upper, I think it's the upper left corner of the screen now.
We've been doing so much change on our website.
So much work on our website and stuff. But if you go to the upper left, you'll see the little YouTube button. Click on that. It'll take you over to YouTube. And we're doing this. We got this new idea that we have that we're going to go ahead and start launching. It's these smaller, maybe about 5-6 minute videos.
Little vignettes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, little 5-6 minutes. They're little like tips and tricks on how to better your decision making within your relationships, or just little tips on like date night stuff like that. So make sure you hop over to YouTube and check that out too. So.
Our first one will be launching within the next couple of days, so we're super excited about that. We'll definitely be putting out an announcement on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else about that.
Absolutely. And also, just a reminder, we already talked about it at the beginning, but we release on iTunes.
I know. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, if you're an iTunes listener, go over there, type in, relationship realities.
With
we'll pop
Roland
up.
and Reyna, yes.
And we'll pop up, and it'll, just start with episode 1 and go from there.
And please be sure to leave your feedback. The only way that we are going to be able to grow our audience is to download. You guys have to download. Please download, like, share, subscribe, all of those awesome things that you do on a daily basis. Please be sure to do that, and please share us. We would love to reach more people, and we can only do that with your help.
Absolutely. So leave that feedback. Also, a big announcement as well. We're going to be doing a giveaway.
Yes, super excited. We had
Yes.
some great feedback and response from our last one. So we're going to be doing another one, and we will be announcing all of the rules and what you're going to be winning on a future post. So please be sure to be looking out for that.
Absolutely. And with all that, thank you for, I guess, dealing with my congestiveness.
And yes, fortunately, I have not gotten to this point yet, but maybe on our next episode you'll hear me being congested. So
Yeah, I think she's come down with it too. So anyway, thank you all for the support and all that.
Yes.
And we'll catch you in the next one.
yes, thank you so much, everybody. See you next time.
See ya.